So use that release of the breath to help you go further into your stretch. A lot of times, or what happens is if you're holding your breath and you're still trying to pull, you risk the chance of injury if you're holding your breath and trying to push the muscle through something. So hey everyone, it's Rashida and Marshall. Thank you so much for checking out this video. Welcome or welcome back. So for those who are new, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all future workouts and dance tutorials and wellness chats and all that good stuff. And for those who are returning, you know I say it in every single video. I'm so grateful for the support. Thank you for coming back, and I hope you enjoy what I have for you today. So in this video, I wanted to share some tips for those who are looking to improve their flexibility. Maybe you're someone who has just gotten into stretching, or you're working to make it a part of your routine, or maybe you have been told over and over, or you've heard over and over that you need to, maybe start stretching, but you don't really know where to begin, or, how to start, or what you need and things like that. So I just wanted to share some advice, things that have helped me, things that I like to share with my clients, or if I'm teaching a class, as to what can help with building flexibility. So before we jump in, I just like to share why flexibility and stretching, or a stretch and release routine, is important. A lot of times we put more of our focus into our cardio or into our strength training, and we kind of push flexibility to the back burner. So it's just as important. You want a well-rounded fitness regimen, no matter what your goals are, what you're doing. You want to make sure you're including all of those components for overall, physical health and well-being. Stretching is really good for just your overall athletic performance. So other fitness that you might be doing, stretching regularly is going to benefit, your main form of exercise. If you're a runner, a weightlifter, if you're a dancer, whatever the case is, it's going to help to improve how you're able to perform in that particular activity that you do normally. It can be really, really beneficial for those who are prenatal or postpartum. So with certain limitations, of course, but it can be very helpful with some of the aches and pains that start to come about during pregnancy and that you may experience afterwards. And it can help with the entire childbirth and labor and delivery process. It can alleviate your stress and add to relaxation. So it's great to do first thing in the morning or before you go to bed. And it can also help you with falling asleep. So it's a great way. You may notice that if you stretch prior to going to bed, that you fall asleep with more ease rather than if you hadn't worked out. Hadn't stretched. So those are just a few tips. There are, or not tips, a few benefits, but there are a ton of other benefits as well. But those are a few I wanted to share. So now we'll go ahead and jump into some things that you can think about when you are starting your stretching journey or your stretch and release journey. So the first thing that I would say is to create some form of a schedule for yourself. So, when we go to the gym, we might say on Mondays and Wednesdays are leg day, leg and butt or whatever. And then Tuesdays and Thursdays might be chest and biceps, or chest and back, or however you structure it. So just as you kind of create that schedule for your weight training, or maybe your cardio, maybe you run on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or you take Zumba on these days, whatever the case is, just as you create that schedule, I think it's really helpful to, in some way, create a stretch and release schedule. So maybe it's, you take some sort of, maybe like a yoga class or something where you're going to get some nice stretching mixed in. You could maybe do that on Fridays or on the weekend, or maybe after your run on certain days, you spend a longer period of time going through some specific stretches that target the areas that you've, worked on. So however you would like to do that, I think that's really important. This way it becomes more of a routine for you rather than something that pops in your head, like, oh yeah, I gotta stretch, or you're laying around, at home and you realize that you're super tight and then you decide to stretch. So I think if you make it a part of your entire fitness regimen and you schedule days or times or segments of your workout, period where you're going to focus on stretch and release, then that's going to be really helpful for you as well. The next thing that I would say is focus on total body. So if you are, let's say right now your main focus is working your lower body, you're really focused on the glutes and the quads and the hamstrings and things like that. Of course, you want to make sure that you are stretching those areas before and after your workout so you can get the most benefit. But you want to also make sure that you are stretching upper body as well, that you're releasing, getting chest openers, that you are rounding the spine so you can get a nice stretch in the low back, that you're taking twisting movements and stretching out of the hips and all of that. A full body stretch is super, super beneficial. And one thing that I like to mention is that the way the body functions, it's like one unit, right? It's like one big machine. It all functions together. And you could have tightness in your upper body, you could have tightness in the shoulders and in the neck area, and not realize that that tension that has been building up for a long period of time could be affecting some other part of your body. So, there are, ways to dive into that a little more deeply, but just to kind of, in a broader sense, think about it. When you are able to release and stretch and pay attention to the entire body, you're going to notice how much more beneficial that is than if you just focus on one particular area. And you could even relate that to like your total body workouts, even if you are targeting one particular area where you want to see growth or improvement, you still want to ensure that you are training the body in totality so that you can be at your, at your best in terms of physical well-being. So I would say trying to figure out ways to create total body stretch routines, or whether you, structure in a certain way to where you target lower body on your lower body workout days and upper body on upper body, whatever. And then maybe on the weekend, you spend some time doing some gentle total body stretches. So I think that's really helpful as well, is to think of the body as a whole and to try and stretch fully, try to stretch wholly and do total body stretch routines. So the next thing that I would say is to progress gradually. So this is really important because it will help to prevent injury. It will help to prevent discomfort, strain, tears, pulls, all of those things, all the things that you don't want in the body, right? So progress gradually. Just as if you are, I know I keep referencing weight training or something, but let's say you have a goal for your squats, your barbell squats. You're not going to load the barbell with 2 45-pound plates if you are starting off with a 25-pound plate on each side, right? You're going to build your strength with that 50 pounds that you have. And then after a couple weeks or whatever your routine is, you're going to add a little bit more, and it's going to be in increments that you are able to build up to what you're trying to do. So the same thing would be with your stretches. If you're trying to get into a split, if you're trying to get into a straddle, if you are trying to fold forward and get your hands down to your feet or to your toes, maybe when you lift one arm, you're unable to reach all the way up. Right now you have tension and it's, kind of, stuck at one spot, and you want to be able to reach all the way up. Whatever that is, you want to slowly go through your stretch routine and gently move into the stretches and allow your body to improve over time. And you want to take your time as you're holding those stretches. So one way that has helped me, and I like to share this with others too, is thinking of an amount of time that you're going to hold the stretch. Maybe right now 8 seconds is enough for you. Maybe you get into a stretch and after 8 seconds you're like, all right, I gotta get out of this, right? So start there. Start at 8 seconds and work through that. And then maybe after a week or two with your stretch routine, you say, okay, I'm going to hold this for, 16 seconds. I'm going to double that hold, or however you want to do it, and just slowly work up to it. Doesn't mean you have to eventually be at 2, 3, 4 minutes of the hold, but just kind of take your time working into it and holding a little bit longer and connecting to your breath. That's going to be another one, but I'll kind of tie it in here. Make sure that you are breathing as you go through, and you can use your exhale to deepen that release and deepen the stretch, and then come out of it once you feel okay. So if you start to feel a burning sensation, no. If you start to feel some sharp, pull that happens instantly, stop. If it starts to if it's a dull pain that is just achy as you're holding the stretch, stop. You don't want to feel any of that. So you don't want to be holding your stretch through pain. You don't want to be holding it and you are just like it's unbearable for you. Pull out of it, because that is, for the most part, not a good sign. There's going to be a little bit of, just a tad bit of discomfort, especially if you're very tight or if you haven't stretched in a long time. That's going to be normal. Your body is getting used to it. The same way if you start to lift weights or if you start to go running and it's been a while since you went for a jog, you're not going to be too happy with what you're feeling like for a little bit, right? But it's the body getting acclimated to this new form of movement. So that would be the next tip, is to progress gradually through whatever stretch that you are doing. So the next thing that I would say, because I just touched on it, would be to connect to your breath. Make sure you are breathing. A lot of times I've seen this happen often with, clients and things like that, is that you're going through an exercise and you're so focused on what you're doing or getting into the position that you don't even realize that you are not breathing. And you don't want to do that. You want there to be a flow of your breath. So what's really helpful is to use, as I mentioned a moment ago, is to use your exhale to deepen the stretch and get further into it. So let's say if you are going into a lateral stretch, right? If you reach one arm up, I know you can't see my whole hand, but you take an inhale and you reach, and then exhale as you go up and over, and maybe you just hold it here. And then you take another breath, inhale, and exhale, feel like you're going a little further to whatever distance in the stretch feels okay for you, and you hold it there for maybe another however many seconds you want, and then slowly bring yourself out of it. So use that release of the breath to help you go further into your stretch. A lot of times, or what happens is if you're holding your breath and you're still trying to pull, you risk the chance of injury if you're holding your breath and trying to push the muscle through something. So I would definitely say to flow with your breathing. Classes like yoga can be really helpful for something like that. Or maybe if you are using a guided stretch or some sort of meditative, stretch session of some sort, can be really helpful for you to find that mind-body connection as you're going through your stretch routine. So focus on your breathing. Don't hold your breath. Deep inhales, deep exhales, and use that to help you facilitate your stretches. And then the last thing that I would say is to consider or invest in props. So depending on where your flexibility levels are, you may or may not need props, but some things that can be really helpful include resistance bands that you can use for like your leg stretches or, pulls like for the back and things like that. You can use foam rollers. I understand those are not fun. I do not like using the foam roller, but I know it is necessary and beneficial. So you can invest in a foam roller, a small one or a large one. You can get some spiky balls or tennis balls. Those are great for like rolling your feet, or they can function as a foam roller. You can like roll the hip on a ball or something like that and get some stretches. You can get something like a small Pilates ball and deflate it so you only have half of the air in it. And that's really good for like placing it under the low back or placing it on the side and then letting your body, kind of lay over it, and you get a stretch in the side body. What else are there? Other props. I know I'm probably missing some. Blocks, yoga blocks to support you if you're in like a lunge or something like that. And I know there's more, and they're just not all coming to me right now, but investing in props or considering things like pillows or cushions or blankets that you have at home that you can use as props that you can rest your head on if you're going through a stretch session and you're reclined, or you can use the pillow or the cushion in place of a ball if you don't have one. You can put that under your back and, lift the knees in towards the chest or lay on the side or whatever the case is. So props can be really helpful, especially if you're extremely tight and it's hard to be in a seated position for a long time, or if when you lay down, your head doesn't rest comfortably on the mat because there's rounding in the upper back, or if there's just so many things, and props can help to put your body in the proper alignment so that when you are focusing on a stretch or a particular movement, the focus now is on what you're trying to do and not on trying to support your body, in whatever position you're trying to be in. So I would say that's a great way to make your stretch sessions a little more comfortable, and it can, continue to reduce discomfort. So you're focused on just stretching and not on what you're feeling in other parts of the body. So consider some props as well. All right, you all, so that is it. Those are some of the tips that I wanted to share. I feel like that's everything that I wanted to say, but if there's anything that I left out or forgot, I will put it in the comments down below. But those are some things that have helped me over the years, and those are things that I like to share with, other people if they, ask questions about stretching or what they should do about stretching. Those are some things that I think can help to get you along on your stretch and release journey. So hopefully this was helpful. If you all have any comments, feedback, questions, please feel free to leave those in the comments below. But until next time, you all have a good one. Bye.